Good morning and welcome to another exciting day to talk business. My name is Blyden Nukem and it's Business 360. In today's business, it begins with an outlook from US. In the US, appearances from several Fed officials will be in the spotlight alongside the PMI, Turkey, Switzerland, and other African countries. PMIs for China and preliminary inflation data for the US 1 year since Russia invaded Ukraine. 1 year ago started its unjustified invasion of materials and their destruction caused by Russia's attack on cities and infrastructure to unprecedented levels. Compared with other economic regions, the euro area has been particularly 0.3% in 2020 to 2.6% in 2021 and then to 8.4% in 2022. A good time to look at the situation in ECB. ECB's governing council member Inácio Visco spoke on the EU's relentless
statement. It was supposed to go down as energy prices are down. That is the big question. Since we are mostly considering second round effects, this is the issue. First, the sources of the increasing inflation recede, then really we should expect that prices follow non-energy prices. If they don't, then this calls for monetary, which is not an expectation, is our be cautious before we say anything, and this is why we basically state the decisions are going to be taken meeting by meeting. There are a number of reasons why it is there. One of them, which I mentioned, had to do with the lags with which prices, which are very heterogeneous across the 3.5, 3.
Well, that's the outlook regarding the state of things. Let's look at Nigeria's perspective 22 amid an economic downturn and rising inflation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria paid 3.03 trillion naira as indirect tax in 2022. Indirect taxes are taxes which include value-added taxes, customs, or import duties paid to the government by producer and in taxes to Nigerians. So looking at economy and businesses in Nigeria made all the taxes, earnings from non-oil exports in October and November rose. The non-oil exports earnings rose by 16.9% to $400 million from $350 million in October. That Brazil was the major destination of non-oil export products with a share of 13.7%. Exports to the Netherlands were 12.6%, 11.6% to China, 6% share of 21%, followed by cocoa beans with 20.2% and sesame seeds, 9.3%. The National Assembly has passed a bill to exempt its workers from the scheme 18 years after operating the contributory pension scheme. Well, it's the outlook. PENUP is the umbrella body for all pension fund administrators and pension fund companies. The pension fund and its operators are Nigerians working across the private and public sector who depend on the contributory pension scheme. AA has commended Dana A for grounding its airlines for proper maintenance check. According to the Director General of NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu, Dana A noticed that some of their aircraft were due for maintenance and they informed the NCAA accordingly once they were done with the maintenance check. That's the outlook from Dana A and NCCAA. It will be a good time to look at the global economy, beginning from Australia. Australian Treasury Jim Chalmers promised the government would deliver a response which it took at its first fiscal set piece in October. Would be a good time to listen to Jim Chalmers regarding this.
Do go to the sustainability or otherwise of debt, particularly in vulnerable countries like Sri Lanka, and so we are all collectively urging all of the partners, all of the creditors to do whatever they can to make a difficult situation around the world in condemning the brutal Russian aggression of Ukraine. So much of what we're grappling with in the global economy is a consequence otherwise, and as we negotiate the communique and hopefully release one before the end of today, hopefully we can make some progress on debt. But regardless, from an Australian point of view, this kind of engagement is always worth it. We give ourselves a much better chance. Obviously, the Americans have a history of putting forward people of quality and obvious things amidst all of its other important work. We do want it to have a focus on climate change and the energy transition. That's a
move to the neighbours, New Zealand, as New Zealand retail sales fell in the fourth quarter. Retail sales in New Zealand declined 0.6% on quarter in the last 3 months of 2022, reversing from an upwardly revised 0.7%, and furniture, floor covering, houseware and textile goods negative 5.2%. In contrast, increases were seen for sales 2.6%. Meanwhile, sales volumes grew in the hospitality sector, with food and beverage services up 14%, while accommodation services were up 28%, likely helped by a return of international visitors. Talking about cash rate, let's hear from the economist Paul Conway.
The Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Here at Te Pūtea Matua, we use our goal is to keep inflation between 1 and 3% over the medium term, but lately inflation has been far too high. CR help bring down inflation. Well, higher interest rates make it more expensive for people to borrow and encourage people to save. Borrowers with a mortgage or other debt have to on their savings, encouraging them to save more. Higher interest rates also tend to increase the exchange rate, making it effectively cheaper to buy foreign products or imports, which also help bring down lower prices for their products today and for workers to accept lower pay increases, which also works to lower inflation in our economy. How will going up? If you have a
That was New Zealand's chief economist Paul Conway on the official cash rates, giving an explanation about savings and its impact in inflation. It will be a good time to look at what's happening regarding finances. Finance Minister Enoch Godogwana spoke from the sidelines of the G20 finance meeting on debt restructuring for African countries.
4 countries now are under consideration in terms of that debt relief program. So in that sense, it has been, progress has been made. There are, however, challenges which we want to explore, and if need be, propose the necessary. I mean, there's a number of things which have had negative impact on the African economies. And thirdly, the pandemic. All of those have put.
But good time to look at what's happening in the commodity markets, beginning with WTI crude futures. WTI weighed rising crude inventories in the US and market concerns about persistent inflation and higher interest rates. They announced output cuts of 500,000 barrels per day. On top of that, investors expect China's oil. The latest environmental impact assessment report showed that US inventories rose by 7.648 million barrels to 850.6 million in the week ending morning. Looking at the energy market, the price of crude oil, the US crude, as well as Nigeria's price benchmark Brent crude oil. The market this morning has shown some positivity on one hand, while on the other hand, negativity, especially for Brent. Current 8% appreciation. For Brent, current price $83 per barrel, downward by 0.07 point, a negative 0 is downward this morning by 0.9 points, a negative 0.43% depreciation. Current price for coal is $209 per ton. Let's look at the metal market. What is downward by 1.81 points, a negative 0.1% decline. For silver is the same story, downward slightly, a negative 0.4% decline. Current price for steel is 4,193 Chinese yuan per ton. For iron ore, it's downward, but lithium has no significant difference in the market. Let's have a look. $1,531 per bushel, upward by 2 points, a 0.13% appreciation. For wheat, it's 700, increasing by 14.5 points, a 3.89% appreciation. Current price for lumber in the agricultural market is $387 per 1,000 board feet appreciation. Cheese a little here, milk a little here. It would be a good time to look at what's happening. You also have a man sleeping while doing business. And it doesn't make sense because the outcome might be different. You have to secure your investment. That's why we're starting with cryptocurrency. While many people were sleeping, the market went up and did the magic. But IMF managed speculative, and therefore there is a high risk associated with cryptocurrency. It would be a good time to listen to IMF director speak. She spoke from the sidelines of the G20 finance.
Central bank digital currencies that are backed by the state and publicly issued crypto assets and stable coins. Stable coins that are backed, so they actually have the reliability because of this backing with assets. They create a reasonably good space for the economy. We want to be clear, and actually we had recently a paper on that crypto assets cannot be a legal tender because they don't have the definition of money, hold value, digital money. And we believe that for the Financial Stability Board...
Let's look at what the market is saying amid all the concerns from IMF regarding the security of it. Let's look at the Bitcoin market, and afterwards we'll be looking at Euro against US dollar and US dollar against Naira, the Bitcoin market. Early this morning, the price of Bitcoin dropped by 168 points, current price $23,309 US dollars for 1 Ether, downward this morning by 5.6 points, a negative 0.34 percentage point. It's the same story for Binance, Cardano, Solana, and Ripples. The crypto market is against the US dollar and the pound against the US dollar. And what is happening within the Forex market? The Forex market has been one with lopsidedness, neither going up nor coming down. It's been ranging in these recent times. Current dollar is 1.19, dropping from the 1.2 points, slightly gaining this morning, but not reasonable in the market, 0.19% appreciation. For the Aussie against the US dollar, the Aussie is struggling against the US dollar, but the US dollar is struggling this morning also against the Japanese yen. Let's look at Naira's perspective in the market against the majors. The US dollar against Nigeria's Naira. Current price 459 Naira equaling 1 US dollar at the international exchange window. For the euro against the Naira, the euro is losing steam against the Naira by 0.17 percentage points. For the pounds against the Naira, current price 551 Naira equaling 1 pound, a decline of 1.4 points, close of the market over the pound and the euro. It would be a good time to look at what's happening in the parallel market regarding Naira. Naira's performance in the parallel market this morning. Rate 750 Naira equaling $1. For the pounds to Naira, the buying rate is 930 Naira to 1 pound, and the selling rate is 910 Naira to 1 pound. For the euro to the Naira, buying rate 790 Naira equaling 1 euro, and 775 Naira equaling 1 euro on the average at the selling rate. And to look at what's happening at the global markets, talking about the stock markets, and we'll begin with Asian stocks. Asian stocks fell on rate hike fears. There's this fear in the market right now about the possibilities of rates hike from monetary tightening from the Fed. Investors are also monitoring key economic developments in Asia, with Bank of Japan governor nominee Kazuo Ueda set to appear before the upper house today. Shares in Australia, Japan is Blyden Ukem.